All right, Property Pie, episode 2. Welcome back.
Welcome.
I'm Cameron.
I'm Irene.
And what are we looking at today, Irene?
We're talking about red flags,
Red
what
flags.
to look out for.
Sounds exciting. But first, I'm going to
Sure
tell you a
is.
little bit about Irene. She's my numbers lady, aren't you?
Yes.
She's got 25 years in commercial finance and data analytics. She's worked for some major household name retail brands. You've more than likely shopped at them. So it's pretty safe to say on our property projects, she is the feasibility expert. She makes the numbers stack up. She does the stacking of numbers. She's also my fantastic wife.
And
is.
this is my husband, Cameron, over here. He's the tools guy.
Certainly can be a bit of a tool.
No comment. He's had 20 years in the construction industry. He's a veteran. He's done a lot of residential carpentry, framing, lock-up and fix, commercial building. Spent last 15 years in civil.
Yes, civil.
Doing stormwater drainage, bulk earthworks, steel fixing, formwork. The list goes on, and even did a stint on an oil rig.
Yes, a couple of years out there drilling gas and oil in the Northwest Shelf and in Bass Strait, getting a helicopter to work. Exciting stuff.
I wish I could get a helicopter to work. That would be nice.
It can be a bit of fun.
All right, let's go into red flags, shall
right.
we? So first up, zoning.
Zoning. Why is zoning important, Irene? Tell us.
Because zoning determines whether or not you can subdivide a property and how well that property would retain its value. So, for example, you could fantasize about doing a subdivision on a large block, cutting into 10, 15 townhouses, but alas, if the zoning is not right, you can't do it.
So it's basically, are you going to be allowed to do what you're proposing to do?
So there's a number of different types of zoning we've come across, like character overlays.
Character overlays, yes. So will what you're proposing fit into the current style of the neighbourhood?
Yep, and if it doesn't, it means a lot of extra rules around how your house needs to look and what your development needs to look like as well.
So things like what the front of your house, the facade can look like, things like what sort of fence you can put up, colours you can use, all that sort of stuff. All right, next up, we've got contouring and services. Very important to know where your services are.
Yeah, so this was actually a deal we looked at not too long ago. We were looking at this large block. It ticked the zoning potential, so it was in a right zone, which is great. Unfortunately, the contouring was not right, and the services was a bit of an issue too.
Yes, well, explain the contouring there for us, please, Ring.
So this is a contouring map. If you don't know how to pull up one, you can just get on your council website. Usually, if you Google the council's interactive mapping tool, that should bring you to the right tool to use to pull up this map. This contouring here, every line represents about a meter drop. So if you look at this block, it has about a 3 meter fall from the road towards the back. So what does that mean from a building perspective?
Well, it's going to mean machinery, which is going to mean expense. You're going to have machines in there doing a bit of cutting out of the existing land, and more than likely retaining walls. They're going to have to be designed by the appropriate person. You're going to have certain checks done on how deep your post holes have been dug. There'll probably be some sort of rules around, or some sort of requirements around what sort of materials you're going to have to use. More than likely galvanised steel posts at a certain depth, certain strength of concrete in them. These days they're probably going to avoid timber, and they're going to want you to use concrete sleepers, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's going to add up. It could be a major expense if you don't know what you're in for.
Yeah. And in this particular example, we were going to cut this into 3 blocks. One here, one there.
And the middle one being where the existing house was.
So on this particular map, you could probably fit a small house at the top, but at the bottom, you can see these 2 contouring
Quite a steep
lines.
drop there.
Yeah, they're very close to each other, which means that you'll have to cut the land and put a retaining wall to make the land developable. And then with the services, we've got water line here, great, check. Sewer line here, great, check. Now what's missing?
Stormwater. There is none.
Pretty typical for Queensland.
Yeah, in our experience, it's not uncommon for the downpipes to just run down the side of the house, and then they just point them with hopes and dreams. The water drains out that way. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it falls back under your house.
Now, not having a stormwater service is not the end of the world. The only issue is that combined with the contouring of this block means that the water falls away from the road, which is the wrong direction.
Into the neighbour's house, and they're not going to be stoked about that.
No, so apart from consulting neighbours, you'll have to look at maybe installing an easement, possibly a bubbler.
Ooh, what's a bubbler, Irene? Tell us what a bubbler is, please.
In very layman's terms, a bubbler is something you install into the ground to help channel the stormwater away from the property. Next one's missing photos.
Yes, what's missing? We've had experiences before where a place might be advertised as, say, a 2-bathroom, and there's only photos of 1 bathroom, and you got to wonder why. And then when you get onto the agent and you ask them if they have any photos of said bathroom, and they send them to you, you realise why they weren't in the listing. More than likely, it's some sort of monstrosity that is not going to be easy on the eye.
And so if your listing looks like a Gumtree ad, I think do a bit more digging.
Definitely do a bit more digging. So also when you're reading the ad, don't just sort of read it and look at what they're saying. Look at what they're not saying, or what they might be, omitting, or just not promoting. Can also sometimes tell you a lot about the property.
And for example, if it doesn't say STCA, it probably means that it's in the wrong zone anyway, so you can save yourself that time.
Yeah, someone's done the due diligence beforehand and found out that it's not happening, so they just don't bother putting it in there.
Or if they say renovator's delight, it usually means...
We all know what that means.
Right.
All right, check your surroundings. Do you want to be looking at piles of garbage in your neighbour's yard from your front window?
So this is about just assessing the neighborhood amenity, doing even a street walk on Google Maps, looking at the satellite view, checking out the neighbors. What's the saying? You want to make sure that you're buying the
worst house on the best street. And that's where we found Google Maps. So doing the street view, doing the walk around can be pretty good. We've looked at some pretty average looking properties, and then we've jumped onto Google Street View, had a walk around the neighbourhood, and some of the surrounding houses are actually quite pretty. They've been well looked after. They've got nice kept lawns. The gardens are good. They might have had a fresh coat of paint on them. So you can get a bit of a feel from the neighbourhood on Street View, and sometimes you're pleasantly surprised. The house you're looking at or the house you're considering might be pretty average, but the neighbourhood might actually be pretty nice, and it's usually a pleasant surprise.
My other tip here is to speak to a local agent, obviously not the one selling the house.
No.
Someone else in the area.
Some of them have been really good, haven't they?
Oh, they've been just giving us gold nuggets of information.
Yeah, absolutely.
So handy. And a lot of them are just willing to actually have a chat and tell you a bit about, is this street good? Is that street bad? On this side of the train line is a good neighborhood and that side is not. It's just local intel that you might not get doing a Google or ChatGPT search.
Yeah, especially if you're buying remotely from interstate, which we tend to do a fair bit of. So we've had some pretty good experiences with agents, haven't we? That sometimes they can get a bit of a bad rap, but we've found them to be a fantastic resource.
Yes, they are. So in summary, check your zoning.
Will you be allowed to do what you want to do?
Mix contouring and services.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty important to know where your services are, because that's going to give you an idea on what your costs are going to be to have all your connections done.
Missing photos.
Yes. Why are they missing and what are they not telling you?
Lastly, check surrounds.
Definitely check your surrounds. Sometimes you're very pleasantly surprised.
So that wraps it up.
All right, we're done.
If you like this episode, remember to like, subscribe.
Please comment. It would help us out.
Yes, very much.
We will respond.
Thanks very much, guys.
All right. Cheers,
Have
guys.
a great week.
Thanks.